You're in touch with Metro Detroit's 10 o'clock news.
It's turning into the toughest fight ever faced by the Reagan White House, and new disclosures about secret arms deals are adding more fuel to the political fire. Good evening, everyone. I'm Amir Jacobson.
And I'm Glenn Ray. President Reagan and his staff are in enough hot water over the covert operations to Iran. Now Congress is boiling over with word that those deals also have ties to Contra rebels in Nicaragua.
And the latest disclosures force a shakeup of a key administrative personnel. There have been some stunning developments in the White House-Iran controversy to report tonight. The secret operation was kept so far undercover that even President Reagan now says he didn't know all the details. The president today fired one key aide and accepted the resignation of another as the story continues to get more and more complicated. Frank Sesno reports.
A grim-faced President Reagan acknowledged his secret Iranian arms deal had taken a bizarre and disturbing new twist.
I was not fully informed on the nature of one of the activities undertaken in connection with this initiative. This action raises serious questions of propriety.
The action, a secret scheme that funneled $10 to $30 million from the Iranian transaction to the U.S.-backed Contras in Nicaragua. The president said National Security Advisor John Poindexter was not directly involved, but was resigning. NSC staffer Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North, the chief White House contact with the Contras, has been relieved of his duties. The Justice Department says it discovered the scheme and is now looking into possible criminality.
The only persons in the United States government that knew precisely about this, the only person was Lieutenant Colonel North. Admiral Poindexter did know that something of this nature was occurring, but he did not look into it further.
It is probably the lowest moment of the Reagan presidency and raises serious questions about where he goes from here. To begin with, Mr. Reagan has ordered a special review board to look into the role of the National Security Council, but he's still not willing to call his Iranian arms deal a mistake.
As I've stated previously, I believe our policy goals toward Iran were well-founded.
Attorney General Meese says no further resignations have been contemplated or are expected. Officials here say they're already working on strategy to get the president back to business. But one aide concedes there's no way of knowing where all these investigations will lead. And the controversy surrounding the president's secret arms deal with Iran is far from over. Frank Sesno, CNN, the White House.
Congress is already intensely critical of the secret White House dealings with Iran, and today's developments about Nicaragua only add fuel to the fire. Michigan's 2 senators are calling for an independent investigation of the Iran-Nicaragua connection, and lawmakers on both sides of the aisle are furious.
The arms shipments to Iran were illegal, in my view. The use of money secretly to go to the Contras in Nicaragua was also illegal.
I think he can recover. I think it's going to test, obviously, the mettle of the presidency.
What this says is that nobody seems to be really in charge of the foreign policy of this country. It says that the White House is in a chaotic state of affairs, and that the best thing to do would be to kind of wash it all out, let the people see and hear and admit that it was a mistake.
My own view, that may not end the Iranian question. I think it's still a question of whether or not those around the president who worked for him support him. And I think both Senator Assembly and I agree they ought to, you can't support the president, you ought to quit.
Now, in addition to these latest developments in Washington, there are new reports now on what prompted the president to become involved with Iran in the first place. The Washington Post saying the reported death of American hostage William Buckley last year motivated the president to order intensified efforts to free other American captives in Lebanon. Quoting anonymous government sources, the Post says Buckley was chief of CIA operations in Beirut, adding that the agency thinks he broke down under torture and later died.
In other news, the Detroit City Council is preparing to take an important vote in the morning on a very controversial handgun ordinance. The plan calls for establishing mandatory jail sentences of 30, 60, and 90 days for first, second, and third-time offenders, respectively. That measure does not sit well with Mayor Coleman Young. He says the prisons are already very overcrowded, and he is so opposed to that plan he actually threatens to use his veto power if necessary. However, Councilwoman Marianne Mahaffey is confident the council will override the veto if it has to. Overcrowding is a major problem throughout the Michigan penal system, but a particular concern in this area, of course, is the jammed quarters of the Wayne County Jail. Today, some of the county's top law enforcement officials say that 1,600 cells cannot be utilized because there is not enough money to hire the personnel to maintain them. So, as TV 50's Shelley Seisler reports, they are taking a different course of action.
Jail overcrowding is an old problem, but it's going to have an added dimension come next month when Sheriff Robert Facano may be forced to close down as many as 2.5 floors of the Wayne County Jail due to a lack of funds. Facano came before the Detroit Police Board of Commissioners to ask them to put the pressure on the Wayne County Board of Commissioners for more money, saying they cut funds last year and they're doing it again.
We entered into a special agreement with the deputies union to go to 12-hour shifts in order to keep the jail open. They've been doing that for 6 months now, and it has caused, obviously, family problems for the deputies, fatigue and morale problems. And we were hoping that with this new budget that it would realistically set in that they want, if crime is the priority, as everybody says, that it's time to send that message back out and to open up all floors of the jail.
Facano was joined by 36th District Court Chief Judge Adam Shakur, who told the board he's had to turn away 15 to 20 people a day convicted on misdemeanor charges because there's no room, compounded by the fact that a pact to house some of those people in the Detroit City Jail has come to an end.
Right now, judges are sentencing people to serve time consistent with various ordinances for mandatory time that are already existing, yet the jail is unable to take those persons, so essentially they're released back into the streets.
The police commissioners passed a resolution urging the Wayne County Board of Commissioners to act immediately, perhaps enacting emergency funding to keep the jail at full capacity. However, what impact, if any, this measure will have is as of yet unknown. In Detroit, I'm Shelley Seisler, TV 50 News.
The federal government has now stepped in to investigate the pension plan at a financially troubled company in our area. Federal regulators are holding off on a request for a court order to close the McLouth Steel Corporation's pension fund, choosing instead to negotiate with the company to find a solution to the problem. 2,000 employees are vested in the plan, which the government says fails to meet minimum funding standards. And the whole mess worries McLouth workers who wonder where their retirement money will come from.
Nobody wants to lose a pension. You know, the people count on it, and they like to have it.
I hope they come up with something, It's a bad situation, I just hope they stay in business and we get a pension back, But a lot of people will be hurt by it if they don't.
Federal authorities say McLouth has less than $10 million in its pension fund, far short of the $42 million required to meet guaranteed benefit levels. The company is said to be trying to meet that standard, convincing the government to hold off on seeking a court action.
Well, it's traditionally one of the busiest, if not the busiest, holiday travel time of the year. This year promises to be no exception. Authorities say tonight that the airport is filling up with holiday travelers, with the crowd growing all day long. Unfortunately, crowds don't always make for good company. Tempers get a little bit short when parking is tight, lines are long, and plans slowly take shape.
The problem is I'm supposed to be in Minneapolis 11:30 their time. I probably won't be getting there until 5 or 6 tonight, if then. I'm so disgusted.
Is this going to really mess up your plans?
Well, I always go to Minneapolis for Thanksgiving, but I've never had this trouble at all. Never.
We'll board today about 16 or 17,000 passengers, and hopefully no more than a handful will have a problem. Our operations is improving significantly, or has since the first of this month. It shows marked improvement since the earlier days right after the schedule merging. And we have extra staffing and extra procedures in place to move people happily during the holiday.
Airport officials say they're trying to do what they can. The airport has set up 1,200 new parking spaces to try to ease the crunch of Thanksgiving travel. And of course, maybe the best tip is you should get to the airport in plenty of time, because at least you are going to have to wait for a little while.
It's always tough when you have to make connections somewhere and parking and
I
tickets.
hate it.
Oh, it's tough. Still ahead on the 10 o'clock news. Once again, car buyers can find some bargains as the auto incentives war heats up.
The prosecution is preparing to wrap up its case against former auto magnate John Delorean. We'll bring you the latest.
Cable television is a big step closer to reality for Detroit, but there's still a long way to go. That story coming up.
And now, more than ever, Americans are faced with making very tough decisions about the care of their aging parents. Part 2 of a special 50 News Focus when Metro Detroit's 10 o'clock news continues.
Time is on your side when you shop Metro Detroit's largest clock shops, the Anderson family clock shops. At Anderson's, you'll find old world craftsmanship, traditional values, and competitive prices. Maybe it's a grandfather clock or special wall or shelf clock you've been admiring. For that once-in-a-lifetime purchase, shop the Anderson family clock shops. Free immediate delivery included on grandfather clocks, or lay it away for the holidays at Anderson's Clock World in Troy, Urick's Clock World in Dearborn, and Northville Watch and Clock in Northville.
Rollo, where's the package?
I have no idea. And the Air Express company has no idea either.
Hold it! If you'd used Federal Express, you wouldn't be having this problem. Come with me. Federal tracks your package with scanners from where it's picked up to where it's delivered. Giving you its exact status within 30 minutes or your money back.
Next time, send it Federal Express. Why fool around with anyone else?
I had no idea Federal did that. Absolutely no idea.
Michigan's quarterback Jim Harbaugh is named Big Ten Conference Player of the Year. The football story later in sports.
I can't believe this. I'm ready for the holidays and not one gift certificate this year. Somerset saved me. For my wife, Pamela, I know these are the right size. For my mother's favorite perfume. For my niece, Sarah, it's tough shopping for a little kid, but bingo! Isn't that great? And isn't this a terrific toy for my nephew? He's gonna love it. Gee. Maybe I should have gotten one for myself, huh?
Somerset. All we ever were, and now much more.
How much longer till we get there?
About 20 minutes.
Anti-lock brakes, internationally patented suspension, uncanny control. Conventional luxury sedans are built to survive accidents. BMW 528e is built to avoid them.
Let's see if they're okay.
The pressure finally got to them. Tonight, American Motors and General Motors are both offering incentives to buy their cars, although GM is taking a very conservative approach. AMC, for example, is once again offering 0% financing on its 1986 Alliance, Encore, and Jeep Comanche, and 3.9% on 87 Alliance and GTA models. GM, on the other hand, which had said it would not enter this latest incentive bash, is offering a $300 cash rebate on all Chevrolet Cavalier models. The plans are in response to incentive announcements last week by Ford and Chrysler. Well, overall, America's automakers notched up a modest performance in the mid-November sales period with healthy gains by Ford and Chrysler. Arch-rival General Motors posting a sales drop of more than 4%. Number 2, Ford reports a 17% gain. Chrysler checks in with an 18% boost, while American Motors struggles with a 51% sales decline. On the inflation front, the prices we pay for goods and services jumped slightly last month, pushed along by higher new car prices. The Consumer Price Index has gone up just over 1% over the past 12 months, helped along by steady or dropping fuel prices. In our area, a jump in natural gas prices helped fuel a 1% boost in that index. And on Wall Street, the stock market continued to recover in the day's trading, staying above that 1900 level. The Dow Jones Industrials gaining 6 points in active trading.
Well, many senior citizens still manage to do many of the things that they have done for most of their lives. Many cannot handle the full-time responsibility of maintaining a home and would prefer not to live with their children, feeling like intruders in their lives. In part 2 of our 3-part series, Aging, Who Takes Care of Mom and Dad?, Margot Williams takes a look at another housing alternative, retirement homes, in a special 50 News Focus.
A retirement home for the aged allows residents to maintain some of what older people want most, independence. They can come and go as they please at places like the American House in Farmington Hills, and some health care is provided if needed. When 87-year-old Rosetta Wooliver moved here 4 months ago, she brought her own furniture and decorated the room with her personal belongings. Before that, she lived with her daughter's family, but realized the burden was too much for all concerned.
I don't want to interfere with the home, because I think a man and wife should be alone. They should run their own place. Not a mother-in-law come in and tell them what to do.
We try to put them in our homes and
make them almost into children, and it doesn't work. That's not what they want. They want their privacy. She has a very, very limited income, and we had decided that it would be better for us to subsidize her living in a facility where she would be happy.
It's very frustrating for an older person to have to depend on a child. The elderly have to deal with a lot of losses anyway. You know, when you think about all of the changes that they have to deal with, retirement, loss of self-esteem.
Because you're older doesn't mean your sense of feeling diminishes. If anything, sometimes it increases. And we need to feed into that.
A home for the aged provides meals, activities, housekeeping, laundry, and some health care if needed for its residents. The average cost for sharing a room is $1,500 a month, which in many cases is hundreds of dollars cheaper than a nursing home.
The biggest problem older people face is losing their independence. One alternative to that is living in a foster home. We'll explore that alternative and more next. Margot Williams, TV 50 News.
Well, in sports, the Bears are doing once again, without the services of their star quarterback, Jim McMahon, and it looks like it's going to be the rest of the season.
Yeah, he's going to be gone for the rest of the year, and the guy that helped him sort of do him in will show up at the Silver Dome on Thursday afternoon. We'll talk about it in just a moment.
Minolta Freedom III. Freedom. New and worry-free. Freedom.
Auto-focusing.
Freedom.
Auto everything.
Freedom. Click is all you do.
Freedom. Freedom 3 comes through.
Freedom. Freedom's what you got. Freedom to take your fair shot.
The Minolta Freedom line of 35mm cameras. Only from the mind of Minolta.
All across Michigan, the #1 is popping up on banking machines. It stands for Network One. And it means that if you use one of these machines, you can use all of them, others too. In fact, you can use over 1,300 banking machines at 100 financial institutions for banking convenience.
Look for the #1. Look for Network One.
How will the Gulf of Mexico affect our weather here tomorrow? I'm Randy Burdo. I'll let you know later on Metro Detroit's 10 o'clock news.
Quality, style, value. Describing the finest in furniture from the Scandinavian countries, Europe, and America. Describing House of Denmark, where fine furniture is featured in an exclusive collection of design and craftsmanship from throughout the world. Visit our stores now and see wall systems, dining rooms, bedrooms, and complete interiors in teak, rosewood, oak, and leather. One word more. You'll love the prices. Only at House of Denmark, Rochester, Kego Harbor, and Livonia.
Your Tri-County Pontiac dealers ask, just how exciting is the all-new 1987 Bonneville? Let Motor Trend magazine tell you.
The 87 Bonneville SE, as first class as any automobile in its class on the world scene today.
High praise from automotive experts, but no wonder. Pontiac's all-new full-size sports sedan is one hot driving machine. Experience Bonneville excitement now at Randy Hostler, Noonan, Packer, and Pioneer Pontiac. We're proud that Pontiac is the #1 selling GM car in the Tri-County area.
Big Ten honors for 5 Michigan players today, all Big Ten team. Named to the first team, offensive lineman John Elliott, Mark Hammerstein, defensive wise Andy Moeller, Mark Mesner, and the quarterback is Jim Harbaugh. Earlier in the day, the writers and broadcasters voted Harbaugh as the player of the year in the Big Ten Conference for 1986. Harbaugh led the conference in total offense and is second in the nation in passing efficiency. 2 Michigan State players named to the All-Big Ten team, receiver Andre Rison and punter Greg Montgomery. Bears quarterback Jim McMahon is through for the season. He'll undergo surgery to repair a torn rotator cuff December 12th. McMahon originally injured the shoulder in the first game of the season, but the slam dunk that he received last Sunday certainly didn't help matters. Green Bay's Charles Martin was the culprit on this play. Today, Martin was suspended for 2 games. It's the most severe penalty handed out for an on-the-field incident since Pete Rozelle became commissioner. Martin says he'll appeal the suspension, which means that he'll be in the lineup against the Detroit Lions this Thursday. The Lions, by the way, are figured 6-point favorites to beat the Pack. The Detroit Red Wings get another shot at the first-place Toronto Maple Leafs. The Leafs in town tomorrow night. Tonight in the NHL, Quebec defeated Montreal. Final score is 2-1. And the New York Islanders leading Pittsburgh 4-0. That game now in the third stanza. In the NBA tonight, Boston leading Philadelphia, playing defense in this game, by a score of 83 to 73. Then it was Boston, as we mentioned, in that game. Then Washington knocked off Portland 111 to 99. And New York surprised Houston 102 to 93. The Michigan High School Athletic Association has a new director in Jack Roberts. And I asked the new director, what is the biggest problem confronting high school athletics?
I think that, and I've said this often, that the fundamental problem on the high school level is that people around the program, the people who observe it, misunderstand the purpose of our program. They confuse our purpose with the purpose of professional athletics or college athletics or the Olympic ethic or just purely recreational sports. Our purpose is different, and when people forget that, that leads to the other kinds of problems, the problems of sportsmanship or recruiting of athletes.
And the Oakland A's, Jose Canseco, is the American League's Rookie of the Year. He batted just .240, but had 33 home runs and 117 RBIs. California's Wally Joyner was second in the voting, and no Detroit Tiger came close. And in case you missed it, it's Michigan rated this week 4th in the football polls behind Miami, Penn State, and Oklahoma.
So Mr. Martin travels to the Silverdome against the Lions. Is he going to be playing?
Oh, yes, he'll play because he has that, he's going to appeal the suspension, which means he'll be eligible Thursday, so maybe somebody can take him out.
How long is his suspension?
Just a couple of games.
That's
Should be maybe for a year, shouldn't it?
Or more.
The prosecution is now expected to wrap up its case in the fraud and racketeering trial of John Delorean tomorrow. However, tonight, the judge has his work cut out for him. He must resolve a dispute between both sides over evidence submitted and resolve 2 other motions. Delorean, as you know, is on trial accused of using millions of dollars in investors' money for his personal use. Police are not saying much about a shooting incident at the Saveland supermarket in Highland Park, but 2 men were reportedly shoplifting when the owner chased them out of the store with a gun. A struggle apparently ensued. The store owner was shot and killed, and a woman, an innocent bystander, was wounded, hit by a stray bullet. An investigation is underway.
It's been a long time in coming to Detroit, but it's still a little ways off, at least. The city is one of the last major metropolitan centers to be wired up for cable television. But today, Mayor Coleman Young plugged Barton Cablevision's control center to satellite receiving dishes, a major step in bringing cable service to Detroit. Construction of the 2,200-mile system is now underway and is expected to be complete within 5.5 years.
You know, with a little bit of imagination, you could have almost thought it was spring today.
It was a very beautiful day. But we at least had to pull one out of the hat for this week. If we can get through tomorrow, perhaps Thanksgiving won't turn out to be a turkey. I'll be back with the details in just a moment.
Weather with Randy Berto, brought to you by Amoco, makers of the gasoline that's tough enough for city driving.
If your car is searching for gasoline that's better than any regular unleaded gasoline, the search is over. Introducing new Amoco Silver Lead-Free, the pure gasoline that delivers better performance than any regular unleaded gasoline could ever hope to. New Amoco Silver. It's not your regular gasoline.
Put your hands up! There's
The drug war, from Heroin Alley to Crack Street, from South American jungles to the real Miami Vice. Geraldo Rivera covers the crime story of our time. And for the first time, you'll see it on live television. Get any closer to drugs, and you'll get busted.
You know you just sold a kilo of cocaine to Geraldo Rivera?
American Vice.
The Doping of a Nation. Live December 2nd at 8 on TV 50.
Guess what?
What?
I forgot what winter bills are all about. With holiday expenses, taxes, the utility bills, and everything else, we could use some help.
Doesn't Michigan have a budget payment plan?
Sure, and I'll bet you can only join in July.
Let's see. So our next bill will be on the budget plan. Great, thanks.
Have trouble with your budget? Call Mishcon. We've got payment plans you can join anytime because helping is our job.
McGuire's of Cadillac is located in the picturesque snowmobile capital of Michigan and features access to hundreds of miles of snowmobile trails. cross-country and downhill skiing, plus elegant meals prepared by executive chef David Smith and served in the beautiful new terrace room. For fun, relaxation, luxury accommodations, friendly service, and ideal conference or convention facilities, call today for reservations and escape to McGuire's of Cadillac. It's the right choice for you.
News photographer Sue Kaus, we know her around here as Sue Kaus the Mouse because she's sneaky, snuck out tonight and got us this beautiful sunset through the old apple tree. It's unfortunate that tomorrow we will not see such an ending to a beautiful day as the weather will be changing. Cloudy skies already over Detroit, 37 at both airports, humidity 85%, the winds northeast at 6, and the barometer 30 inches, even and on the fall. The mild air was here, but the warmer temperatures were up north. Traverse City with a high today of 53 degrees, and they still are the warm spot this hour with 44 degrees. The clouds are on the increase, as I said, and we have a low anchored over eastern Oklahoma. This has spread a lot of heavy rain into the Mississippi, Tennessee, and Ohio valleys. Strong thunderstorms through Alabama today, a lot of flooding down in the south, and the rain is as close as Fort Wayne, Indiana, and central Ohio, and this will be spreading up toward the Detroit area later on tonight and into the morning hours. As a matter of fact, this cold front from out west and this storm system will both converge on us, and this is where the low will be during morning drive time tomorrow. And as you can see, this cold front will make its move through the state tomorrow. We'll top out around 44 degrees. Look for periods of rain. We could conceivably get up to about an inch. But there's good news behind this front. It's all Pacific air. It should move out of here late tomorrow night, and Thanksgiving Day should be a delightful one with temperatures in the mid-40s. As a matter of fact, 40s will be the call all the way through Sunday. Even a chance of rain and snow mixed on Sunday, but that is still up in the air in the outlook. But tonight, look for cloudy skies, rain possible by morning. The temperature should hold fairly steady throughout the night. Periods of rain and drizzle tomorrow with a high of 44. Rain ending and clearing late tomorrow night with a low of 30. And on Thursday, mostly sunny and a high of 46 degrees. A delightful Thanksgiving Day will be here, I'm sure.
I hope.
Of course, I'll be in Cincinnati, so I won't take the blame for it.
Oh, it's Sunday. It's sunny weather.
Okay, enjoy it.
Well, among the stories we'll be covering for you tomorrow, the Detroit City Council is scheduled to vote on a tough new handgun ordinance requiring mandatory jail terms for offenders. And the prosecution is expected to wrap up its case against John Delorean in his federal fraud and racketeering trial. Just two of the reports we'll have for you on the 10 o'clock news tomorrow night, right after the movie.
Greektown came alive with music and song today as the Wayne State University Orchestra's 20th annual salute concert to downtown Detroit. Listen to this. Quite a production.
You know, by the time Christmas was around, we're going to be full of the holiday spirit.
Yes, we are.
That's our 10 o'clock news for this evening. Join us again tomorrow, everyone.
Good night.